Hi, welcome to SCW right here on youtube.com. This is Steve Chats Wrestling. Thank you for clicking on this video and choosing this channel. Please subscribe to us now and make sure that you can keep up with all the breaking news as and when it happens. I'm going to be doing a video. This is a little bit different, not really news of any sorts. It's basically an analysis of the WWE's new era. It's been kind of promoted at this WWE that we've got this new era going forward, and we've got all these new stars and talents on the main roster, called up from NXT. People like AJ Styles have been signed to WWE, and I think what people's initial feeling was it's a lot fresher product, which was nice after WrestleMania. But it seems 2 months down the line, things feel just a little bit different, and I thought I'd just do an analysis of my take of what this new era is and where we kind of looking at going forward. My first main dig with this new era, and I'm loving the fact that there's all these new stars being brought up or new people to work on the roster, but I don't think they're being utilised very well. I mean, we don't seem to know a lot about these characters. You look at Apollo Crews, for example. He is already off of Raw, already off of SmackDown. He's a main event fixture or main event, it seems, every week now. This guy seems to have talent, but he seems to be caught up from NXT for me a bit too soon. That's my opinion. But then you look and say, well, he's on the main roster and he's just this guy that comes out and smiles every week and wins his match and goes back to the locker room and he smiles and he does a good moonsault. That's about it, and a good spin sit down powerbomb. Well, fair play to him, but we need to know more. There's not enough there to get us invested in that character. And I remember they had one feud in NXT where he kind of broke that mold. It was Baron Corbin. I believe they faced at NXT London, if my memory's correct. And we saw a different side of Apollo Crews during that spell. And actually, he was actually quite interesting to watch for that feud. It would be fun to see just something used of him in WWE, which we don't really seem to be getting. The same could be said for Baron Corbin. The room has it that him and Apollo Crews have got no major plans going forward. I mean, this guy won the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. You know, they said this year this was finally going to mean something, and so far it's meaning he gets on the pre-show of a pay-per-view, which just seems ridiculous if you ask me. There's a lot of stars that seem to be brought up and brought in and perhaps not utilised correctly. Let's look at the club. They were signed and they didn't go to NXT, straight to the main roster along with AJ Styles. This is Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson we're talking about. They've been in the WWE now on TV, I think, since April the 11th. I think that was the Raw they came on to, and they looked dominant and they were straight thrown into the main event sort of area and kind of attacking Roman Reigns and looking strong and looking dominant, kind of like how they were in Japan. And under the Bullet Club, they were seen as a real dominant force, and we wanted to see that again in WWE. We wanted like a new NWO. Well, we've had like 6-7 weeks of TV programming, and we had to wait perhaps 1 or 2 weeks for them to get into the ring. So they've only been on in-ring action for about 4 or 5 weeks now. And in that time, they have been treated kind of almost like jobbers at times, because they got the victory of the Usos at first, then they got the 6-man tag with AJ Styles over Roman Reigns and the Usos. But since, it's just gone a bit downhill. They lost on SmackDown after that following Raw. Then they had the elimination tag match where they were beaten up so easily from the Usos, and this week on Raw they've lost again, which it just makes you think the credibility of these guys has gone so quickly. So, you know, I think that comes down to a lot of this comes down to a creative aspect, and it just makes you wonder what is actually going on in WWE right now, because literally so many talents are being mistreated, misused. It leads to people like Damien Sandow being released, which should never have happened. This guy is talented and should be used on the main way. Cody Rhodes is asked to be released, for goodness sakes. I mean, this is one of the Rhodes family. This is someone like with legacy in wrestling history that's asking for his release, and that just, for me, doesn't add up. There's something not quite right there. You look and think, well, why would someone do that? I mean, unless you seem to be related to The Rock or with the Samoan heritage, you seem to be given a bit of a disastrous run if you are a 2nd or 3rd generation star. You've only got like Curtis Axel, son of Mr. Perfect, is treated like a jobber. The Colognes, I mean, what the hell is the Shining Stars? I mean, another one is Gimmicks. Gimmicks, absolutely, they've got to connect with the crowd. And the thing is, some of these gimmicks you can see on paper. I mean, why is a travel agent involved with wrestling? That just does not make sense. What is going on with that? I know I'm moaning a lot on this video, but I mean, this is the thing with the new era, is that I think the problem with the new era is the fact that it has the potential to be so great. And I think that's the real issue that is created to make this video, is that it could be something special, and it's currently being treated as not. I mean, they're making the big fuss. Oh, it's a new era, we've got new stars. Yeah, we've got some fresh matchups. Yes, we do. But we're seeing some of these matches on a weekly basis. I mean, the Usos versus Gallows and Anderson I'm sick to death of it already. I'm sick to death of Baron Corbin versus Dolph Ziggler. You know, we're getting just repeated matches, and it's almost like a WWE universe. So people that play the WWE games know when you kind of have to have a feud on their universe mode, that you kind of have to have the same match every week to keep that feud alive. It seems that that's kind of the road that they're going down. I mean, Kevin Owens and Dolph Ziggler on their feud, I mean, I think they wrestled like 7 or 8 times out of 14 Raws or something like that, and then they had a pay-per-view match on top of that. I know that wasn't technically in the new era, but it's definitely in the modern way of wrestling. And I mean, the argument could be with Raw and SmackDown. That's always happened. I mean, even in the year 2000, I remember Steve Austin versus Kurt Angle being on like once every 4 weeks. That was like, it's just the way it was done. So, I mean, there is the overexposure with Raw and SmackDown. Would a brand split help? Perhaps it would. I mean, to give perhaps not as many segments in the show and actually develop more on the people's characters. So we could be more invested in these people would be perhaps the way to go forward for me. And then you can look and say, right, okay, well, who is actually getting over? And actually then as well, for actually the bosses to listen, who is getting over? I mean, Sasha Banks has picked up an injury, but she's not being used correctly. I mean, she's barely been used at all in the years she's been nearly a year she's been in the main roster. I mean, she was the star and everything at NXT. You thought she'd just continue that role in WWE, and you can sort of understand why maybe some people might be reluctant to leave NXT to come to the main roster. You've only got like a Tyler Breeze or an Ascension. You can end up on that jobber street very quickly, and I mean, you look at Apollo Crews and Baron Corbin, as we said earlier in the video, it doesn't bode well, and you know that's where the real fear factor is. At the moment, the new era, it seems Roman Reigns and the rest. We need to get the rest on the same level as Roman Reigns, or at least, you know, like the Attitude Era. You had about 6 or 7 top guys. You know, you had The Rock, you had Steve Austin, you had Triple H, you had Mick Foley, you had The Undertaker, Kane. You know, if someone was missing or someone was injured, like when Steve Austin was, someone could take over the reins. You had the Big Show then thrown in, Rikishi was given a go. All these people then had enough to keep it going. At the moment, if Reigns got injured and Cena's already injured, I know he's coming back, but Rollins and Orton, if this sort of thing happens again, you're screwed, and this is why the ratings are going down. And at the moment, this should really be an exciting period to be a WWE fan, because we've got so much talent to watch. The in-ring work is superb, and I think that's where it's really a bit of a letdown. Is there's too much 50-50 booking, there's not consistent booking, and not a lot of stuff always necessarily makes sense going forward. Now, I hope from Extreme Rules tonight, a lot of things are going to make sense. You've got my predictions video made already of what I think will happen, and I think that would make logical sense for the majority of that to happen, and would perhaps be the right way going forward. Of course, certain things could change or go wrong. Thankfully, when I made my payback predictions, I only got one wrong, which was Ziggler beating Corbin. There's going to be definitely a hiccup somewhere in amongst the booking. It's going to be a bit strange. I think that WWE do this for their swerves, and sometimes a swerve is a good swerve if it makes sense, or you can back it up with something. A swerve is not good if it's not backed up with legitimate storyline telling of why that happened afterwards. Like Ziggler beating Corbin at the last pay-per-view didn't really make sense, and it wasn't really explained to make sense either, so therefore it didn't work. Sometimes when you see old pay-per-views, you turn around and go, God, I didn't see that coming, because there would be a running or something that made everything change, but it changed storylines going forward, so you kind of saw sense in it. And that's what we need to see back on our programs, and we need more time developed into the characters, because the in-ring work is fantastic. If you enjoyed Payback, I enjoyed the pay-per-view Payback purely for the in-ring work. If you look from the storyline telling kind of sense, kind of was a bit weird. So, you know, you have to look at it from, it's got to go from both sides, and we need some less lazy booking and some more creative booking. And if we can get some of that, then hopefully be a good way going forward. There could be the argument that maybe the reins need to change at the top of Vince McMahon. But of course, there's lots of rumours that we've covered on this channel all the way through this year while I've been on here, with Shane McMahon, Triple H, Stephanie and Vince all backstage. Is potential backstage problems, but we'll have to see if and when more of that develops. But that's kind of my feelings anyway. I'm just kind of more of just getting off my chest really, just to say what I feel really with everything going on at the moment with WWE's new era. I think it has potential to be a great era. I think it's potential to be as good as the Ruthless Aggression times. It's just the fact that right now I look at it and think that if WWE keep going the way they're going right now, then this new era could be the last era, because unfortunately there's a lot of losses going on. The ratings are going down. You know, pay-per-view buy rates are not doing well. Of course, the network did very well around WrestleMania time, but WrestleMania's finished now. Do people care about wrestling now? Am I wasting my time doing these videos? You know, because you look and say, well, if the ratings are going down, people are not interested. I look and see some of the videos I've done, some of the more interesting or highly viewed videos I've done is stuff that's majorly rumoured over the internet. It seems that wrestling rumours are more popular than actually the product itself, and that needs to change if WWE wants to keep things going forward. But what's your opinion? Let me know in the comment section, and I'm open to all suggestions. You might think I'm absolutely talking rubbish and say the new era is brilliant, but for me, I think that at the moment, if we're being brutally honest, sometimes I think WWE are doing the things they need to do to get through this tough period and the tough period they've had, and maybe they're just sort of finishing that off, getting the full wrestler back together, and then we're going to get something exciting. That's what keeps me going, and that's what I hope it would be exciting from a wrestling fan's perspective, that this time, maybe next year, we could have 4 or 5 big stars along with Roman Reigns, and we can have something really exciting going on. At the moment, the only real big stars I see in the company are Roman Reigns, Brock Lesnar when he's there occasionally, Seth Rollins when he comes back, and potentially John Cena wherever they're going to throw him in. You could argue Randy Orton is a big star, but unfortunately for me, he's been mishandled, misbooked as well, and that's why right now he probably belongs in the middle of the card. But that's my view anyway. But if you like this video, please subscribe to the channel right now. I thank you for taking the time to listen to this video and watch this all the way through. Hopefully I've not chewed your ear off a bit too much. But if you have anything to say, leave it in the comments section. And thank you for watching SCW right here on YouTube.com.